Elcio?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm good. I'm a little tired, but it's been a long day, Monday. How are
How about
things
the
in
weather?
Hungary?
How about the weather in USA?
It's much better. Thank you for asking. It's no longer the heat wave. It finally, you could say the heat wave broke, and now
Hmm.
it's just beautiful sunny weather. And how about things in Hungary? Is it raining?
No, the rain stopped, and the weather is good, shiny, and the
Mm-hmm.
temperature is good.
Mm-hmm. So the sun is shining.
Yes.
Very nice. I'm glad to hear it. Let's see, we've got Elcio here too. Hi, Elcio.
Hello, how are you
I'm
today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, little tired.
Is it late where you are?
Yes, here is 7 p.m.
Oh, okay. And where are you again, Elcio?
I'm from Brazil.
Oh, that's right. Brazil.
I
Okay.
changed my picture since
That's
last week.
that's right. Yes, I remember your name, but the picture is different, so it's harder to remember where you're from. Um, well, it's good to see you again, and we got Omar back with us. Hi, Omar.
Hello, teacher. Nice to see you again.
You too, very shortly. Um, and Samuel. Hi, Samuel.
Hi, long time no see.
I know, long time no see. I think it's been at least 5 minutes. Um, okay, so we'll get started very soon, just waiting for everyone to arrive. So today we're doing a lesson on fun and funky verbs, okay? Fun should be a word that's familiar to you, but do all of you know what funky means?
Okay.
Have you heard that word before?
Is a type of phrasal verbs.
Not really. They're not phrasal verbs. These are all just very interesting verbs, different verbs. So they're a bit more exciting than all the regular verbs you might have learned in your textbooks. So today we're doing funky verbs, and funky means kind of like fun and sometimes a little strange or weird, but different, okay? Different verbs you might not have learned before, and that's the point of today's lesson. And it looks like we've got a new student. Is it Fausto? Is that how you say your name? Hello? Fausto?
Yes, that's right, teacher.
And where are
Can
you
you hear me?
from? I can hear you.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm from Mexico.
Oh, okay. And how are things in Mexico?
Mm, mm, about what?
Well, is the weather nice? Is it very hot?
And yes, okay. If we need to talk about the weather, I think that right now the weather is very warm,
Mm-hmm.
but at night, I think that it's very rainy. It's very strange because in very early and night
Mm-hmm.
it's rainy, and in middle of day is very warm. I don't know why.
Oh, so it's like a tropical rainstorm.
Yes, it sounds like it's starting to with rainy days in this month,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
And what part of Mexico do you live in?
I am living in Guadalajara.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Thanks for joining my class. Today we're talking about fun verbs, different verbs, some interesting verbs you might not have heard before. Okay? So let's get started, and if anyone else joins up, we can just include them as we move along. So I'm going to send the link in the chat. So if you look on the left-hand side, there's a chat button and you can see the link to the PDF. But I'm also going to do the screen share so you can see it on your own screen. Let me turn that on now. So let me know if you can see that. And what you should see is a list of verbs that says vibrant verbs. Okay. Oh, and we've got Wissam with us. Hi, Wissam. Okay. All right, so let's get started with our super easy storytelling vibrant verbs, okay? This is a list of verbs that you might not have learned from any textbook or any English teacher that you have. They're different, okay? They're not as common, but they're a good way to increase your vocabulary, to expand your vocabulary. So some of these should be familiar to you. Like, look at the first one that says run. Okay, can everyone see what I'm looking at on my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Great. Okay. Oh, and we have another student. Let's see. Is it Crete? How do you say your name?
Yes.
Crete. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you
Thank you.
from, Crete?
I'm from Thailand.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And we have another new student, Masaya, is it?
Yes. Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Where are you from, Masaya?
I'm from Japan.
Okay, great. So we have someone from Japan, someone from Thailand, someone from Mexico, and one from Spain, and one from Turkey, one from Brazil, and one from Hungary. Wow, we've got a very international group today. Okay, and going back to our vibrant verbs, okay? So the first one you see is run. This is probably a word that you've heard before. It's a little faster than walking, but that's probably the only one on here that is that common. So I'm going to ask that you pick a verb that you'd like to know the meaning of, that you've never heard before. Okay, so look at this list and look for a verb that you've never seen or read or learned. Okay, so I'll start with Laszlo. Laszlo, which word looked the most interesting to you that you would like to know?
I choose the bolt.
Okay, bolt, B-O-L-T, right?
Yes.
This one here, bolt. So what do you think it means? Do you want to guess? What could bolt mean? A lot of these are action verbs. You know, they're verbs where you do an action. So bolt involves some sort of movement. So do you want to guess or shall I tell you? Okay, so to bolt means to go away really fast. Okay, really quickly. So if you were in an emergency, let's say your house was on fire, Laszlo, your house is on fire, so you have to go out of the house really quickly, so you bolt out the front door.
Teacher, I
I
have
see.
Okay, Elcio, you had a question? Go ahead.
I use it bolt to fix things.
That's right. Bolt is also, yes, bolt is also a noun, and it's like a screw or a nail, so you can use it when you're building something. But in this case, we're talking about it in the verb form. And in the verb form, it means to run out or leave someplace really quickly, to go away from there. Okay? So when I am late to my job, I have to bolt out the door and bolt to my classroom. Any questions?
Thank you.
Laszlo, will you try to use it in a sentence, please?
I can see a big dog in my garden, so I bolt to the door.
Good, very good. I would bolt from a dog as well. So when you choose a word, for everyone, when you choose a word, I'm going to ask you to try to use it in a sentence and give you a chance to practice. Laszlo, you should also know that you can bolt something that is food or drink, and that means to eat it really quickly or drink it really quickly. It's not as common to use it in that manner, but for example, when I need to have some coffee, I could say, oh, I just need to bolt a cup of coffee. I need to drink a cup of coffee very quickly. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Or if you eat your meals very quickly, you could say, I bolt every meal.
I bought a coffee.
Okay, but it's not very common. It's more common the way you used it before. Very good. Okay, I just noticed we have another person joining us, Rui.
Hello.
Hi there.
People. I'm
Nice
fine,
to
thank
meet you, Rui. Where are you from?
Portugal,
Portugal. Great. And what part of Portugal?
Lisbon.
Wonderful. You know, I've traveled to Lisbon. It's a beautiful place. So, Rui, since you're new, would you like to select our next verb?
Teacher, I have a question here.
Sure, go ahead.
What is the past tense of this verb, bolt?
Bolted. Good question. That's a good question. So I'm going to write these words in the chat. So to bolt means to run away quickly. And I'll type the definitions. And the past tense is bolted. I bolted to the door when I saw the postman. Okay, very good question. I'm glad you brought that up, Fausto. I'm going to include that now. So, Rui, would you like to choose the next word?
Yeah, but I'm lost.
Okay, can you see the words on the page?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to you, okay? Let's go to Fausto because you had such a good idea. Fausto, which word would you like to know?
Okay, well, I don't know a lot of words here in the current slide, but I would like to know what is the meaning of churn out.
Oh, okay, so this one is a phrasal verb, to churn out, okay? So to churn is a word that means to turn something over and over, but it only is used in one context. For example, you take a big glass of milk and you put a spoon in it and you turn that spoon over and over, you churn it, and it can become butter, okay? So churn used to just mean to make butter. And now we use it in a different way when we say churn out. So churn out as a phrasal verb means to make something. Okay, so to make something really, it also kind of means to make something in a hurry. So if you were very hungry and you needed to eat a quick dinner, you could go into the kitchen and churn out a dinner. But it's also used, it's very common that students say this. Students who have to write long papers in college, when they have to write an essay, they might say, oh, I have a 10-page paper due. I'm going to go home and churn it out. And it's to make it in a hurry.
Okay, my question is, that is a transitive phrasal verb?
Yes, it is transitive and it's a phrasal verb. Because you can churn it out, meaning the paper or whatever it is that you need to make. Okay, so if let's say you work in a business and your business needs to come up with a plan for a meeting, you get together in your group and you churn out a plan for the meeting. Very good. That's a tough one. It's tough to explain, but it's not very common. Some of these words are more common than others, but they're all kind of interesting. They're different, and they allow you to expand your vocabulary. So the past tense would be churned out.
Okay, perfect. Teacher, I asked for the meaning of this verb because, well, I've heard before this verb with my clients because I
Mm-hmm.
need to work with in a business environment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk with business language, and they usually use churn out
Oh,
very
yeah.
in a lot of time. I don't know. Maybe we need when we need to talk about or work around the clock or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They are using this verb.
They'll say we need to churn it out.
Yes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because we usually have a lot of project in a short period of time.
Yeah, so in that case, they're using it to mean to keep working until it's done. So when you're churning butter, you have to keep pushing down the milk until it becomes butter, and it takes a really long time. So the meaning is kind of the same, only they mean you're going to work all night and all day to finish this project, to churn it out. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so would you like to try to use it in a sentence, Fausto?
Okay. Well, let me use a very common phrase of my boss when he tell me something like that. For example, the project need to turn it out as soon as possible.
Okay, so yeah, the project needs to be churned out as soon as possible. That's a good example. I'm glad you brought that one up. Okay, so yeah, churned out as soon as possible. And we've got a new student. Is it Camilo?
Hello,
Hi there, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I'm well. And where are you from, Camilo?
I'm from Colombia.
Okay, so Camilo, when you're not speaking, if you could turn off your microphone so we don't hear the
Okay,
echo, okay? But
okay, sorry.
that's okay, that's okay. You'll have a chance to speak very soon. Okay, who wants to go next? Who wants to pick our next verb? Any volunteers to pick our next verb?
I am.
Okay,
Let me choose.
go ahead.
The word is blubber. Blubber.
Blubber. Okay, this is a good one. Blubber. Blubber. Let's see, where is that one? Ah. Oh, they have blabber. That's even better, okay? Blabber. Can you
Blubber.
repeat after me? Blabber.
Blubber.
Okay? So, blabber is a really interesting word that means to talk on and on and on and on and on about nothing. Okay? So it sometimes can be a phrasal verb because we almost always say blabber on.
It means when someone said blah blah blah.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you've probably heard this phrase before. We very often say in English, blah, blah, blah. And it's somebody who just blabbers on and on about nothing. They have nothing important to say. And I think all of you who work in an office, you probably have an office mate who just blabbers all day long. Maybe? Okay, so and the past tense is pretty straightforward. It's blabbered.
Blubbered.
Okay, Elsia, will you try to use that in a sentence?
My friends are very blabbers every
Okay,
day.
so it's not an adjective. You need to use it as a verb. So you can say, my friends blabber.
Every day or
Mm-hmm. Good. So my friends blabber every day. Remember
Yes.
that we're just using verbs here today, so you need to use them as a verb.
Okay.
Good. All right. Who's next? Who would like to pick our next verb?
Teacher,
Yes,
teacher,
Preet?
I cannot see a barber.
Blabber,
Where is it?
it's at the very bottom, right
Oh, some
above
picture.
question. Can you see it now?
Barber. No,
It's at the very
because
bottom.
the picture goes on it. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So if you go into the chat, Crete, the chat has the PDF file in it. So you can click on the link and it'll take you to the same PDF that I'm looking at. But blabber is there at
Thank
the
you.
very bottom. You're welcome, yeah. So blabber, to talk on and on. So this isn't a very nice verb, to blabber. So don't say to someone, you blabber on and on, because it's not very nice. But it's true that a lot of people do that. Okay, Crete, would you pick our next verb, please?
Booster.
Okay. Let's find that one first.
Yeah.
The one right
up
above
to the
it?
barber.
Okay. Up before blabber, we have bluster. Okay. Bluster is
Bluster,
very
yeah.
similar to blabber, but bluster means somebody who blabbers, who talks on and on, but usually bluster means that they are angry. Okay? To bluster is to talk on and on in an angry way. So a bluster is a term that means if you're upset about something. Let's say I am your coworker and I come into the office and I say, our boss is so terrible. He always makes me stay on the weekends and all I ever do and blah, 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 blah. Now that's bluster. Okay? The past tense?
It mean the person? Bluster is mean the person?
No, it's a verb. Remember, everyone, all of these are verbs. Okay, we're just doing verbs today, not adjectives. So a person blusters when they talk on and on in an angry way. So do you want to try and use it in a sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
My manager bluster all day long.
Okay.
Is this correct?
Yes, So work on that BL sound. Bluster. Bluster.
Bluster.
Bluster.
Bluster.
Yeah, good. Okay, bluster's on and on. Very close. Okay, so it's true. If you say my boss blusters on and on, or blusters every day, you want to be sure that your boss doesn't hear you say that. Fausto says that's very close to reality. Very good. I'm lucky because I'm a teacher and I don't have a boss, so I don't have anyone who blusters to me. Very good, though. That's a good choice. Let's do something totally different. How about we hear from Omar? Omar, will you pick our next verb?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Slurp. What's the meaning of slurp?
Oh, what a great one. Okay. Can everyone repeat after me? Slurp.
Slurp.
Good, okay? It's a funny sounding word because this word sounds like what it means, okay? To slurp means to drink something, but when you drink it, you make a loud noise like this. That's a slurp, okay? So that's to slurp. To slurp is to drink something very noisily. Okay, to drink something very noisily. So if I turn off my screen share for a second, and I drink from my water, I'll show you exactly what it means. And I'm sorry if this is kind of gross, but it's a good example. Can you hear that?
There we go.
Okay, so I just slurped my drink. Maybe that wasn't the best thing to drink out of, but that's better. Okay, and now I'm refreshed.
Okay, perfect. So, teacher, I have a question with this verb.
Sure.
This verb can be applied with liquid things, for example, a soup, for example?
Yes, in fact, it's very common to hear people slurping their soup, and in the United States, it's considered rude. It's considered impolite. But
Yes, it's very similar in Mexico. That is the reason that I'm asking.
but in other countries, it's impolite not to slurp your soup. For example, I've heard that in Japan, and maybe Messiah can tell us if this is true, that you are supposed to slurp your food, your soup, to tell everyone how good it is. Is that true, Messiah?
Yes, yes. It's not only soup. In Japan, the noodle called soba. Usually, we use to soba with sloop.
So that's how you eat the soba. You slurp them up.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, very good. And I'm glad you brought that one up because, Omar, because it's such an interesting cultural point that in some cultures it's rude to slurp, and in other cultures it's polite to slurp. So the past tense is also regular. It's slurped, slurped with that D sound. Okay. Okay, Messiah, why don't you pick the next one, please?
Yes. I have a lot of words to I don't know, but especially one is where is it? Saunter.
Oh, I'm glad you picked that one, to saunter. Okay.
Saunter, yeah.
So the beginning sounds like the word sauna. So if everyone can repeat after me, saunter.
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 Very good. Okay. So saunter is related to walking. Okay. You should know the word to walk. So to saunter means to walk slowly without a purpose. So when you're just going for a walk and you walk slowly, maybe you look over there, then you look over there, and you walk into a shop, and you don't have anywhere to go. You just are walking to wander around. So that's to saunter. And it doesn't mean that you don't have a path that you take. It's just a slow walk that's not trying to get you to any place. So if you are late for an appointment, you would not saunter.
Okay.
So do you want to try to use it in a sentence?
Okay, I will try. I have a lot of time today, so I will go. I will have a saunter.
So it's not a noun. It's just a verb. Okay, so try to use it as a verb.
I will saunter to the park near here.
Good. Very good. You can say, I will saunter to the park. Because saunter also can mean to just go not with any direct path, it's a good choice to use the preposition around, to saunter around. So your sentence would be better if you said, I have a lot of time today, so I'm going to saunter around the park.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one question.
Yes.
Only walkers or drivers?
Yes, only walkers. Drivers cannot saunter. Yeah, only people who are walking can saunter. It's not a verb that a car or any other thing can do. Just people who are walking slowly without a purpose. It's very common. Maybe Samuel can tell us about how people saunter around after dinner where he lives. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's see. Let's go over to Rui. I told you you could pick a verb, so please.
Let me see.
Influence.
Let's let Rui choose.
The top.
Okay. What was it again?
Use. Is possibly influence.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Influence. Okay. So the emphasis just
you check
for
on it.
pronunciation, the emphasis is on the first syllable. So it's influence.
Influence.
Influence. That's the most important syllable, that first one. Not influence or influence, it's influence. Okay? So when you influence someone, what do you do? Does anyone know? This might be a word that someone knows.
Yeah, like when you influence somebody, when you affect on them.
So when
Like-
you affect them, you influence them when you have a good or bad effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, teacher, it's very similar to encourage.
Yes, but encourage is mostly a positive verb. And influence can be a positive or negative verb. You can influence someone positively and you can influence someone negatively.
Okay.
So influence, yes, Omar says, my family influences me.
Or is the is possible is the person is very influent in the country or the
But the word is influential.
is the guy is sorry.
It's cutting, your sound is cutting out. So the person who is doing the influencing is influential. I typed it into the chat so you can see how it's spelled. Okay, but it's someone who has a good or bad. Yeah, influential. Okay, so do you want to try and use the verb in a sentence? Rui, can you try to use the verb in a sentence?
Is the verb influence for more improve my English.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you,
Sorry.
Rui. No, that's great. Let's give someone else a chance to see who hasn't picked a verb yet. Let's see. Elcio, have you picked one?
Hello, hello.
Have you picked a verb?
Let me see. My word is glide.
Glide. Okay.
I ever see in my razors.
Yes, that's right. They talk about razors gliding over your skin. Okay. Lots of things can glide. So to glide is to move lightly over something.
Okay.
So it moves across something, just across the top. To move across the top of something. So for example, you can talk about someone who is ice skating. Okay, an ice skater, they glide across the ice in a fluid motion. It's all fluid. There's no division, and they don't stop. Okay, so to move lightly over something. So when there's ice on the road, sometimes your cars can glide over the ice. They move really lightly across the top of something without stopping. That's a tough one to explain. Am I doing a good enough job explaining it, or should I try again?
Yes, I
Okay.
understand.
Okay.
To glide on ice easily, né?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the past tense is glided. To move
Glided.
slowly. And then also you can talk about a bird or a boat that glides. So a sailboat glides across the water, or a bird glides through the sky. They move smoothly along either the water or in the sky.
Okay.
So do you want to use this in a sentence?
Let me think you. I don't know.
Yeah, give it a try.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe somebody else will try for you. How about you, Fausto? You want to give that a try? Have you heard glide before? Or perhaps Laszlo?
Yes, teacher. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Fausto.
Sorry, I mute myself.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yes, I have heard this verb before, because I think I was wondering if high gliding, the extreme sport, is coming from this verb or something like that.
Yeah, sky gliding. Yes. Okay, that's another one. I didn't think about that. So the person who goes sky gliding, they also move through the air with these big sort of wings. So let me see if I can find a picture. Sky gliding, or you can Google that on your own too. But let's see.
Okay, maybe we can use this word like, or this verb, sorry, like the birds usually glide into ground or something like that.
Okay, so the birds, you mean? Birds
Yeah.
glide in the air, right?
Yes, the birds glide in the air.
Very good. Okay. And let's hear from Samuel. We haven't heard from you yet. Can you select a verb?
Yes, I don't understand lope. This run.
Yes,
Run command.
yes, lope, actually. You don't pronounce the second syllable. It's just lope.
Lope.
So in English, when you have a E on the end of a word, what it does is it makes the letter, the vowel before it, say its name, okay? So we have our vowels A, E, I, O, and U. And here we have L, O, P, and this E makes the O sound just like the letter O, lope. Does that make sense? It's kind of complicated, but if you see that, it's not lope and it's not lop, it's lope. The O says its name. Okay, has anyone heard lope before? This is a good one. So to lope is similar to run, and it's kind of similar to run, and it's kind of similar to jumping, but it means that you run and you have big steps, okay? Big, wide steps. So think about a horse running across a field. The horse's legs are moving in these big, wide steps. And so it's running and it's moving in big steps. It's loping across the field. So this is something that animals do more than people, but sometimes a very tall person who has very long legs can lope across something. Like my brother's very tall, and I would say when he runs, it looks more like loping than running. You want to try to use that in a sentence?
Yes, the sentences, no?
Yeah, try to use it in a sentence.
Okay.
And the past tense is loped.
I lope in every day for 5 kilometers.
Okay, So you can either say I am loping, but if you're talking about something you do habitually, you want to use the present simple tense. I lope every day for 5 kilometers.
I lope every day for 5 kilometers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. And it makes more sense. In this case, it makes more sense to say this, to say I run. But if you were an animal, then you could say I lope. I lope around or something. Okay. That one is not very common, but still a good example. And let's see who's next. Who wants to choose our next word? We haven't heard from Camilo. Camilo, can you pick a verb?
Yeah, road.
Okay. Roar? R-O. Okay.
R-O-A-R.
Okay, so some of you were in my other class where we watched some music videos, right? And we listened to a song by Katy Perry called Roar. So how many of you know this song, Roar?
Yeah, it's the sound of the lion.
Exactly. To roar is to shout, but it's like a lion, okay? Like a lion.
Okay.
It's an easy one because there's only a few animals that roar. You can hear a lion roar or a tiger roar. That's pretty much it. And that's just and like the MGM tigers are lions at the beginning of a movie. Okay, so Camilo, can you use roar in a sentence?
Yeah, the tiger roars very loud.
That's true. The tiger roars very loudly. Don't forget that when you are using a word to describe a verb, in English that makes it an adverb, okay? And how do we know it's an adverb? You have to add ly onto the end, okay? So if you're saying the tiger roars loud, you have to say the tiger roars loudly.
Okay.
Oh, Fausto says he doesn't like that song at all. Well, you shouldn't come to my classes on music videos because that's all we do, pop music and Katy Perry. So you wouldn't like that. Camilo, were you saying something?
No, I am correcting. The tiger roars very loudly.
Good. Very good. Okay, thank you, Camilo. Let's go back to Laszlo. You want to pick another one?
The next one will be skip.
Skip, okay? Skip. This is one of those words that has what we call a schwa sound in English. So it's a eh. It's not a skip or anything else. Everyone repeat after me. Skip.
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 Good.
Skip.
Okay. Has anyone heard this verb before, to skip? This is something, I'll give you a hint, this is something that children do.
Yes,
It's like
I have.
quit.
So this is something I don't know how I can explain, but it doesn't mean quit. There's two meanings to it, okay? You can skip something by not going, by not attending. For example, my friend invited me to a party, but I skipped it and went to the movies instead. To not attend, okay? My students sometimes skip class when they're very tired. And then there's another meaning, which is a certain movement that children do. And I just will have to send you a link to a video because I don't think I can really accurately explain it. Skipping. Well, I'll see if I can find something. But in this case, we'll stick with the first definition, to not go to something. So I was supposed to meet with my teacher, but I skipped our meeting and she was very angry. Okay, so who wants to try that one out? Laszlo, will you try to use it in a sentence?
Ooh, it was difficult. Uh, hmm, 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 hmm. I have no idea.
Okay, so have you ever missed anything by not going to it? How about let's hear from Crete. Crete, can you try to use skip in a sentence?
Yeah. Mm, Today have a meeting and my friend invited meeting, but I'm very tired today, so I'm skip it.
Okay, so I'm skipping it.
Skipping it.
Good. Anyone else? One more person want to practice? Skip?
I have an idea.
Okay, go ahead, Laszlo.
In my working place, I have a busy day, so I skip the next meeting.
Okay, good. And you know what? That made me think of something else. A lot of times people will say to skip lunch. Okay, when they don't eat lunch, they'll skip it. If they are so busy they don't have time to eat, they might skip lunch during the day and just eat breakfast and dinner. Okay, very good. And who wants to pick our next verb? How about we'll go back to Messiah?
Well, maybe my last one is I don't know how to pronounce it. Annihilate.
Okay, so this one is a tricky one to pronounce. It's annihilate.
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 That's good. Annihilate. Can everyone repeat after me? Annihilate.
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 Okay, good. And does anyone know this word?
I think that it's very similar to breathe in or something like that, right?
No, that's inhale. That's similar, but the word is inhale.
Okay.
But very close. Well, not very close actually. To annihilate means to destroy something. So annihilate means to destroy, or it also means to kill. So it depends on if you're trying to annihilate a person or a thing. Okay, so if it can mean, you can mean it in a non-serious way. For example, if you're a big fan of soccer and your team is playing their rival, you can say, we're going to annihilate them. We're going to destroy them. But you just mean you're going to beat them. Or you can talk about one side annihilating the other side. And another person might say, ugh, my neighbor made me so mad, I want to annihilate him, meaning to kill him or destroy him. So it's a pretty negative verb, but do you want to try to use it in a sentence, Messiah?
Okay. Let's see. Their enemy come to my town. They annihilate whole of my town.
That's a very good use of it, because the meaning of annihilate is very strong. So it doesn't mean it in a very minor way. It means if you annihilate a city, you destroy everything about it. And you destroy the entire city and all of the people. So it's a very strong verb. Good. Okay, let's go to Omar. Why don't you pick our next one?
Okay. I think it's chomp.
Okay, let me find that. Chomp. Chomp. Okay. Chomp. I'll give you a hint. Chomp has something to do with eating. Chomp means to take a big bite. Okay? Let me see if I can give you an example of that. You have a big cookie and you're very hungry. So you chomp the cookie. You take a big bite. And you can also say to chomp down. That's a phrasal verb that means the same thing, to take a big bite. So I'm going to turn off the screen share and I'll show you by by chomping on a cookie, which I just so happen to have. So here's my cookie, and I chomp. Okay?
Okay. I
All
usually
right.
do that when I am starving.
Exactly. So to chomp, just take a big bite, and you can chomp only food. So why don't you try to use that one in a sentence? And the past tense is chomped. For example, I just chomped down on that cookie. I just chomped that cookie. So, who was it that picked that one? Omar, was that you?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Why don't you try using chomp in a sentence?
Okay, I used to chomp my pizza when I'm hungry.
Yes, very good. I would do the same thing. Okay, I think we have time for maybe just one or two more. So let's hear from Samuel again. Will you pick one more, please?
Nutke?
Okay, so this is a tough one where the D and G sound go together. So the word is actually nudge.
Not.
Nudge.
Not.
Okay, can everyone repeat after me? Nudge.
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 This is a good one. Nudge. Okay, so how many of you have Facebook? Does anyone here have a Facebook? On Facebook,
Yes.
You can do something where you can poke someone. So you press a button and it pokes them. It says, someone poked you. So Samuel poked you. Well, nudge is very similar to that. It means to push a little bit. So let's say we were all in a classroom together. And I asked a question. And Omar didn't know the answer, but Laszlo poked him a little bit, pushed him towards the front of the classroom. He nudged him forward. So it usually means to use your elbow and push someone forward. Like, come on, you can do it. Go for it. You nudge them forward. And you can also use it to mean like if you're trying to encourage them to do something good. For example, you could say, my friend wanted to quit smoking, so I nudged her in the right direction. I pushed her to quit. So that one's kind of tough, but there's the small gesture of nudging someone. And you can also nudge someone if you're standing next to them. You just kind of push against them a little bit just to acknowledge them. That's also a nudge. And so there's the common phrase, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Has anyone ever heard this before?
No,
Okay.
Okay, so this is kind of a funny one that when you say wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it means that there's something going on, maybe a secret, that everyone knows about, but nobody is talking about. Okay? So, for example, you might say, oh, my boss has a very beautiful and young secretary. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And the person who's listening can only assume can only assume that the boss must be in love with the secretary. Okay, that's what that means. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and that's a very common phrase in American English.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have heard that in a movie or in something else. Okay, so we have time for just one more. So how about from Elcio?
Okay. Crush.
Crush. Okay, to crush. Well, there's a few meanings. There's a noun form of it, but the verb form is to make something very small. Okay, so to flatten it with your hand, or let's see, let's take a can of, well, that doesn't work because you don't have it. So it's to press something or squeeze it so it's really small. Okay, for example, in the summer, I like to take a lot of berries, like raspberries and strawberries, and I crush them and make them into jam. Make them into a jelly. Okay, to crush is to press something to destroy it. Okay, I didn't do a very good job describing that one, but you can look that up, and we will hopefully get a chance to talk about more of these in the future, but I'm going to wrap things up. So any last questions before we end our class?
Yes. Is there any easy way to remember all these words, because they are very complicated for me, you know?
They are very complicated. I would recommend that the best thing to remember verbs is, as you memorize the meaning, also memorize a picture in your mind of the activity. Okay, so when I talk about crush, you can picture yourself crushing something with your hands, like crushing an orange or something very memorable. Make a picture in your mind, and that will help you. That's what I do to remember other verbs. But sometimes it just comes from, if you read in English and you read a book in English, you'll see these vibrant verbs that are different, like you might see saunter or blabber or slurp, and then you'll remember that picture you have in your mind.
Okay.
But these are not very common. You don't necessarily need to know them. But the point is to expand your vocabulary and try to learn something that you couldn't learn from a textbook.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming to my class. And that's it for today. So I hope to see you in another one of my classes, maybe later this week.
Okay, thank you. Same
Okay,
to you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.